Hello. I think I finally got it fixed. There we go. I see some chat messages. Sorry, everybody, for being so old. All right, let me pop out chat so I can see what you guys are yelling at me about. Whew, it's alive! Nathan, how's your health? Thank you, Stephen. My health is okay. My leg is still not great, but tonight I'm not going to focus on that too much. I think a lot of people will probably ask me, but you know, we can't just live in wallowing pain forever. I got to focus on making some content, getting the message out there. But thank you for asking. Have you played the new Cyberpunk 2077 yet? No, but my girlfriend has been asking me about it. Normally, I just play games that are very solitary, sort of. You know, I don't get very competitive. I don't have a lot of time to play much. Simon says, what's up? How's everything going? Pretty good. Bit tired as usual, but I'm kind of amped to do this live broadcast because yeah, I've been making these videos for a couple of years now, and every time I meet somebody who watches my videos, they have all these weird ideas that when I look at my videos, I can see why they think these things about me or about my channel. So I'm happy to be able to actually go through these things in real time with people so that they can get a better understanding of who I am, what I'm doing, you know, and what my message really is. And the other good thing about live streaming is I can get a lot more content out than the edited videos, which take me forever to do. So I'm going to update the links on the social medias so that people know where to go. Oh wow, a surprise live stream, Dendrick. Yes, surprise. I'm going to do these more often, I think, if I can figure out how to get them going correctly. Okay, so let me copy the link real quick, and then we will start, and I'm going to tell you guys what I want to talk about today. I know you already have a little bit of an idea from the title, but I'm also going to go over some messages from subscribers and kind of answer some Q&A and everything. All right, Twitter. I can show you guys what I'm doing. Let's see. Let me switch it over to, there we go. This is me. Hey, everyone. And let me make sure that is actually the correct link, since there's been about 75 of them. Here we go. Okay, yeah. So I'm going to copy that, tweet it. I should probably delete those other tweets. Where else should I tell people? LinkedIn and my favorite, Facebook. Such a piece of junk. All right, I'm going to delete my old thing because that's wrong. And almost done, guys. Damn, your keyboard is loud. You know what? I actually love this keyboard. It's a cherry keyboard. I love the clackety clackety because I'm so old that that back in my day we had typewriters, and then, you know, these very clunky keyboards, and there's something about the feeling of it that I just love. I don't like those sort of dainty, soft, cushiony keys. Okay. Facebook post. And LinkedIn. This is basically me broadcasting that I'm an idiot to the world, by the way. It's okay. I never claimed to be some kind of live streaming expert. Let me delete my old thing on Facebook. Mushy keys suck. Correct. I agree with that. I never really liked the Mac. Do you want to delete this post? Yes, the Mac keyboard, because it's just like I always want to hit it like really hard because I never feel like I'm actually blah 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 blah. I don't need a preview. I never feel like I'm actually hitting the key. Wow, thank you. 1:45 a.m. in California. Yeah, I didn't really time this very well. Normally I release my videos at about 11 p.m. my time because it's a little bit better for the people on the West Coast. But don't worry about that, because I'm going to edit this stream into videos and release those as separate videos, so that you won't hear all of this stuff, me blabbering and screwing up the live stream, but you'll get the gist of it. So don't worry about that. Wow. Thank you, Lei. Keep it up. 加油. So there's been a lot going on recently. I know that everybody's got so much that they want to talk about. And this is really why... I know I'm distracted. I'm almost done. Sorry, guys. This is why I wanted to do live streaming, is because... number one, there's so much weird ideas and conspiracies about me and my videos and everything out there, which is partially my fault, to be honest with you, because I just don't have a lot of time to communicate because I'm so busy editing all the time. And another reason is that I can actually tackle things a lot faster. So I am going to Murloc Knight. Thank you very much. Is that named after Murlocs in Warcraft, or what's that all about? When I edit videos, it takes so long to create a video that I've actually had to spend a lot of time balancing when can I talk about a live event that's happening right now, but it'll probably be over with in a day or two, and when can I talk about something that is kind of ongoing, and when can I talk about something that doesn't really matter when I release it, like just political theory or those types of things. But I think live streaming is a little bit better for me because I can do all those things. I can talk about subjects like I'm going to tonight that are sort of general and apply pretty much at any time, but I can also jump in and talk about things as they're happening. So because this is my first real live stream, as you no doubt noticed by the beginning, is the sound okay? Can everybody hear me all right? Hoover. Thank you, Hoover. Appreciate it. Hoover from Hong Kong. Sound is good. Thank you. Appreciate it. Obviously, my voice sounds amazing. I mean, let's not mess around there. So I can't really move the camera or anything, but to my right is the big fat cat, the big fat white one. I have two cats. And he's sleeping. He's laying on a big cushion that we have that's shaped like and looks like a piece of toast. So he looks like a big flabby ball of white butter. Pretty good sound. Empty Zafu, pretty good. Is this better? Is this better if I talk very closely and intimately? Jakarta! Warmest regard from Jakarta. Hello, Jakarta. Hello, Indonesia, one of my favorite countries. I love Jakarta, but I love even more Yogyakarta, which has amazing stuff there. What's that place called? Borobudur? I think that's what it's called. That huge Buddhist temple. It's amazing down there. Too loud, man. Oh. Okay. Wallpaper from They Live. Good one. Good eye. Okay, so let's get started. I want to talk about a few things. Obviously, the things in the title, but I also want to go over just a couple of questions and comments from the Patreon Subscribe Star people. So let's go over those. So on Patreon, I'm not going to mention everybody's names because I didn't specifically tell them that I would do that. But here are the comments that I've got from a post where I said basically, hey, anything you guys want to have answered or any comments. So the first comment is, would love to see more episodes of Epic China. And the second comment is, still waiting for the continuation of Epic China. So here's the status of Epic China. I am continuing with it. I am almost done with the next episode. It's pretty good. Remember that things are going to go slower as far as the story itself. So the next episode, most people think that it will be the beginning of the Opium War, but actually it's not. And the one after that still will lead up to it, and then it will start. So, we went from thousands of years to hundreds to like 50. It's going to be more and more focused. And that's another thing that I want to cover in the live stream is I want to show you guys all the research that I do, because the number one thing that everybody that I meet ever thinks about me that's not true is that I have a team of people that helps me with this or backs me. I do all of the research, all the editing. I do even the audio, everything, every piece of music, intro, outro, maintaining all the lists of, for credits and, you name it, maintaining all the accounts. If you message me on, YouTube or whatever, you're talking to me. So when it comes to things like Epic China, I can give you just a sneak preview now. Okay, let me switch over to the desktop view. I'm going to give you just a hint of the reality that I live in. Okay, let's pop over to my main. Internally I just call it Civil War. So this is just an example. In pictures, I have this all sorted by some categories. Some things are by date. So if I go into 1800s, you can see some pictures there. If I go into like 1880s, you can see certain pictures will be based on just the year that it happened. This is not a very particular picture, but if I want some scenery for 1884, this is Shanghai at the Bund. If I want to see the 1900s, obviously there's tons and tons. All of these photos were found by me. If there's editing that needs to happen, I edit them. Some of them are pretty bad, and some of them are just scenery and whatever else. I have hundreds and hundreds of books that I go through, texts, documents, CIA, declassified documents. I watch documentary films. I, watch videos and I read all this stuff. Like, I sit here and I figure out everything for every single year. I read all this, every boring, tedious, old-fashioned style written document. I read it all, and if you want to talk about tedious, you can try to read something. For example, this is Cambridge. If you want to read about China, this is part 2 of a 2-part series from Cambridge, just about the late Qing dynasty. And the sentences in here are so terse. One paragraph can teach you more than a YouTube video. I read all this stuff. I do all the, text, all the videos, everything. I have hundreds of videos that I watch. I procured all of this myself. I tag all of it. I watch all of it. So I know I'm going on and on. The point is, I don't have any kind of team. I have one person who is helping me with translating. I need to get more because these live streams are going to make a lot more content. But I just want to give you a little bit of a hint about how I like the flags. I made these flags. Like, I created them. I did all this stuff personally myself. So I'm going to go over that in another video, but just wanted to let you know. So anyway, back to these comments. Waiting for the continuation of Epic China. I am working on it, and I will do a video that shows all this research. Let me get to some of these chats real quick. Take care. Thank you. Congrats for your first live stream. Thank you. Please let me buy you a coffee and hope you recover from your health problem. Thank you very much. I do drink probably too much coffee. I'm drinking coffee right now, actually. Charlie from New Zealand, hello. Salute to you and your team. See? Salute to you and your team. In other words, salute to me. Thank you. Hello from Huawei, Sweden. Live stream, media narrative against China in regards to U.S. tech dominance. That is such a big and fascinating story. I don't know if you guys have been watching the Meng Wanzhou court cases, but there's a lot of interesting stuff going on there. I feel like I could talk about this stuff forever. That's why I wanted to get into live streaming. Thank you for the 10 euros. Hello from Spain. I love Spain. I love Barcelona. And Madrid is pretty cool. I went out there to check out a animation company out there. Hello from Melbourne. Wow, you guys are all over the place. Now, does this say Franco Fu or Franco FU? Franco Fu, right? You got to be careful with these things. At first, I thought you were saying screw France. I was like, whoa, whoa, whoa. Thank you very much. Thanks for your hard work. I appreciate it, everybody. So let's take a look at some more of these comments. Nathan, I love your opinion. Do you think that people like Pompeo actually believe what they're saying? Not just about China, but even stuff like how great the U.S. is recovering from the pandemic, mostly coming from Trump. So the short answer is most of the neocons do believe what they're saying, which is kind of what makes them so dangerous, because neocons are... this is a term that most Chinese people, and I think most Americans as well, aren't really familiar with. It's a very sort of niche term. It basically means somebody on the right who is expansionist, war hawks. These are the people who unabashedly want to expand the empire of America. And I do believe that people like Pompeo and Barr and these types, I do believe that they actually believe what they're saying because of a very complicated link between sort of the Christian mindset and spreading the gospel and doing the right thing by them. And it's actually quite complicated. It's something that I'm going to touch on more and more in Epic China, because we're getting into the period now where the spreading of Christianity in China is going to really backfire with the Taiping rebellion and this kind of stuff. So that's going to be over the next probably 10 episodes. So quite a while now. But the reason that I wanted to do this Epic China series is because when somebody asks me a question like, hey, is Pompeo actually believe what he's saying? It's like the answer is going to be so long for me to explain it. I really wanted to lay out a lot of this history so people really get a full context. Kevin says, thanks for broadcasting the truth about China. You're welcome. I sometimes wish I could stop, but it's so annoying to me to see these misrepresentations about China that I have to say something about it. Jayo Nation says, you inspired me to make a video about the CDC report. I'm not surprised more attention has not been paid to it. Thanks for your hard work on the timeline. If people had antibodies on the 13th, when were they infected? Well, unfortunately, antibodies and infection time are kind of hard to track, because infections can theoretically last up to, 24 days without, as being asymptomatic. And so what I tend to do is just say before that, there's always more dates coming out of earlier and earlier cases. And, this is a very popular conspiracy on the far right, is about how everything before the China timeline that's just all fake, it's all bogus, or they try to discredit it or tie it back to China. And everything about China is definitely that China did wrong, as I'm sure you've noticed. I'm trying not to talk too much about COVID these days because I've really talked about it a lot, and there's just so much more for us to do. And as you know, here in China, it's really, I hate to say it, but it's really not going on much anymore. So yeah, I appreciate it. I have seen some of your stuff. I usually don't have time to mingle with others because I'm so busy, but I don't know, maybe I'll get into that at some point once I get familiar with this whole setup. Okay, I'm sort of rambling here. Sorry, hang on a second. Full screen, me. Can I turn on CC? I don't know. I'm not going to try to turn on CC right now. Okay, sorry everybody, because it was so hard to get this thing to work in the first place. I'm just not going to mess with it, but I will look at that next time. Let me just quickly look to see if there's anything obvious. There is not anything obvious, so I'm just going to skip it for now. Let's just, stability over features at this point. Okay, so next Patreon comment is, I desperately want you to get on the Joe Rogan podcast. He's a dude who invites interesting guests from all around the globe with all sorts of background and a wide variety of spectrum. I have been informed and inspired by their conversations, etc., etc. Yeah, I mean, I would do it, obviously. It's a huge platform, and he's a very interesting guy. I do think that most of the guests that he has talking about China, people like Tim Pool and other, ex-CIA people, they definitely represent one side of the story. And I will say this. It would be a little bit awkward for me to go on and talk about China. I would almost prefer that someone who's Chinese does it. And I don't want to sound too like SJW or whatever, but it just it feels a little bit weird if I'm the person sort of representing the right narrative about China, or one that's a little bit more centered. But I would definitely do it. Colorado native living in Shanghai. Shanghai's pretty nice, Shanghai's pretty nice. I went down there, I think it was this year, and it's so warm down there compared to up here. All right, next Patreon comment. What can the U.S. learn from China, and what can China learn from the U.S.? I don't think that the U.S. wants to learn from China if we're talking about the sort of people in general. I think that they're under a big sort of umbrella where they can't really see clearly what's happening over here. China can learn a lot from the U.S., I think. Chinese people often misunderstand things about Americans. And the sort of media apparatus that China has built, especially when it comes to interfacing with the international public, is something that I think they can really learn a lot from how America does it, because American media, American propaganda is very, very efficient at dealing with Westerners. So I think that that's probably I can't get too far into it because this is going to be a very long discussion, but something along those lines I think is where we need to start, because so many Americans are kind of beholden to this weird far-right message that they're getting about China, that there's not a lot that they're going to be willing to learn at this point. Can you make a meta piece on the cognitive errors taking place when some Americans misrepresent China? For example, when people hear good things about China, they won't believe it, or will question the studies or sources, or they'll point to the existence of poor workers and da-da-da-da. If I had to choose, I'd live in America, not China. Blah blah blah. So this person's asking me essentially, like, can I go over some of the fallacies and blind spots of people? I think I will cover that stuff more generally as I go along, because it's impossible to avoid anyway, You're crushing it, Nathan. You need some interns, bro. Here's my thoughts about interns. First of all, I don't accept any free work. I tried once or twice, and it just doesn't work for me, because I need to pay so that I can have responsible help. You know, I can't make a video and then message someone and say, hey, I need this done by such and such time, and they say, oh, I'm, you know, out for another week or two, this type of thing. So I do appreciate it, but I don't take any free work, if that's what you mean. Thanks for helping debunk all this anti-China nonsense. Singaporean named Starfood. The hypocrisy is vomit-inducing. Yes, I agree. And it's always been so weird to me to see how much people don't believe that I think what I'm... Personally, I've only been to the Philippines once, and everybody was very nice there. It's a quite a different culture than I expected. It's pretty cool, and it's, you know, they have a kind of a wide range of quality of life, of experience. Personally, I want everybody to be able to get along with China if that's what they want to do. And if they don't want to do that, what I want is for that to be based on the cleanest version of the facts that we can get them to. So, in other words, I don't really, and this goes for individuals too, I don't really care if you don't like China or you hate China, whatever. But if that's the case, I want that to at least be based on some semblance of the truth, not just some headlines and some misrepresented data. Elaine Lee, wow, thank you. And thank you, everybody. Wow, okay. Let's see. So that's the Patreon ones. Subscribe Star, I think, just had one, which is, hey, Nathan, I've been following your videos for some time. Just to check if you have considered to show your income from making these videos. Of course, it's fully at your discretion to do this, but I have seen lots of YouTubers doing that, which receives good feedback support from the subscribers. Besides, it also gives the idea of effort return from your side. Thanks. My income. Okay. Well, I would definitely consider talking about money a bit. Not in this stream, obviously, because I still have a lot more to talk about, but I'm not necessarily against that type of thing. I will just give you the general idea, and this is something that a lot of people who hate on me really don't want to believe, which is this. The income from all these videos, let's use a little slightly more financial terms, the revenue that comes from all these videos, and I mean all sources, everything, every t-shirt that anyone's ever bought, every, you know, AdSense payment, everything combined is not even close to 10% of my personal income. And my personal income or revenue doesn't come from the government or actually from anything in China. I've been investing in American stocks for at least 12 years now. I got into Bitcoins when they were $4. Okay. So this is something I'll think about how to prove this to you guys without showing you all my my account numbers and everything. But I would consider doing something like a notarized account or some kind of proof, because this is one of those weird things that so many people levy against me, like, oh, he's sold himself to China, oh, he's doing it for the money. And from my point of view, I'm like, what money? I mean, I guess I could live off of this, but I don't need it. It's not really what I'm all about. To me, when I read these this messaging about China and these headlines and all this stuff, I want to talk about it. That's what I want to do. So there is some money coming from these videos, but I spend that money on translating, hosting, and trying to get people to do things for me that I shouldn't necessarily have to do myself. For example, making thumbnails and whatever. So this is a very common, understandable misconception, but the facts are this. If you donate to me like these super chats or through Patreon, Subscribe Star, personally, myself, and I'm not speaking for anybody else, and it's not judgment about people or whatever. I mean, I'm not lucky. I did all this work. I have built up enough finances for myself that I don't personally need those things. I spend that money on the channel. on making this as big and as successful as I can. But you can believe that or not. But I'll think about a way if I can prove that to you later. But so that's my subscribe star comments, and Buy Me a Coffee has a bunch of comments. So I will just say, in general, thanks everybody who has donated there, and I do read these. And one more thing before I get on to our main topics. If you email me at nathan@nathanrich.online, I will read your email, but I probably will not respond. And that also goes with Facebook, even, unfortunately, even Patreon, Subscribestar. I really try to respond to those, but I read almost everything, even Weibo, Bilibili. I really try to read as much as I can, but the fact is, I'm just one person. I don't have a team of people going through these, so I just don't have any time to respond to them. But I just want you guys to understand that I do read them. Okay. Hang on a second. Okay, so what are we talking about today? Right, the Falun Gong and this far-right idea of, no, we don't hate Chinese people. That's crazy. We just hate the CCP or the government. So this is something that's really been a thorn in my side every time I hear it for a long time. But we're going to get to that. So first of all, I want to get to this FLG thing. So here we go, desktop. And before anybody says this, I just want to be very clear. The fact that this sort of kind of looks like the shape of China is totally accidentally, is not intentional. I'm not trying to say anything. There's no big mystery going on. It just happens to be how it sort of spread out. All right. So I need to explain what this is a little bit. I showed a quick picture of this in the video that I made about Chris Chappell, the Falun Gong parrot. Is everybody 240p? Wow. Is it very laggy right now? Everybody's kind of complaining. Lagging on Hong Kong. 480p still lagging. Sorry, guys. 480p. Tattoos cost money. I don't know. I don't know what you're talking about. Okay, so I hope everybody can see this. So this dude in the middle is the guy who created the Falun Gong cult. He lives in the United States in a very expensive, huge resort. He's very, very rich. Basically, he's a extreme racist. He hates mixed race couples, and he essentially defrauded a lot of people by pretending to invent this new exercise, right? So these cultists will try to portray themselves as like, oh, we just do like yoga and exercises and stuff, and then they'll say like, oh, we were persecuted by China for like these exercises. What are you guys talking about? But if you grew up in a cult like I did, you know that this is just how they operate. Scientology, the cult that I was raised in and am not a part of anymore, by the way, they also do this kind of misrepresentation of their beliefs and try to go with the most innocent seeming part of what they do to appeal to people, to make them seem like victims anytime something happens to them. Now, that doesn't mean that nothing bad has ever happened to these people. It's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is this guy is a particular type of guy, a con man, essentially. So I want to explain to you how this graph works. And yes, I created this myself. I did all the research, etc. I don't want to have to keep saying that for everything, but just understand that I made this Me, with no help. Okay? So this piece of software is called Coglit, which is, I guess that's a name. So everything kind of starts with him. You'll notice that there's all these different lines and colors and whatnot. And I need to tell you a couple of things about this software first. So first of all, these black lines just mean that one is created from another, or it's just a general link. Like film and television, okay, this film has a black link. No real particular meaning. And I want to explain to you that there's not really any direction on these lines. Even though this right here has a sort of arrow, like it's a little point, I am not considering those. So it's just a line to me, and that will become obvious why I said that later. So black is just general. Thick green like this means that something is funded by something, okay? And by the way, none of this, zero of this, is my assumptions. Nothing. There is not one assumption on here. I want you to understand that. This is all publicly provable, okay? A green dotted line means that there was cooperation, which normally may or may not involve transfer of money. It doesn't necessarily mean that one person paid another. It just means that they cooperated with each other. For example, Stefan Molyneux and Laura Southern have cooperated with each other. I'm not saying that one paid the other or didn't, but it's possible. What else? Red is employment. Okay, so like Owen Schroyer is employed by InfoWars. The size of the text means nothing, and that's because the software is just hard and annoying to size the text. The color of the text, you'll see China 8 here technically has green text, means nothing. These thick dotted gray lines means that many people, or actually this one should be thinner. The thick one means many people work at the same place or are involved with the same groups. So, for example, this G Translators is much the same people as GTV Media Group. That's what that gray link means. It doesn't mean that they work for them. It means it's just literally the same people. That noise is my cat snoring. Some of these are just labels, like, for example, Asia section of NTD. The size of the icons does not mean how influential something is. That's not what that means. What it means is, if they have a YouTube channel, how big is that YouTube channel? That's pretty much all it means. Because in the beginning, I was focused mostly on YouTube channels of Falun Gong. So you can see that Strictly Dumpling by Mike Chen, the notable Falun Gong practitioner and promoter, is very large. Now, obviously, this is a channel about spreading this racist theory through eating food, but so it's not very influential in the sense of like getting people to adopt their cult, but it is a big channel. That's why it's large. Okay, so it needs to be clear to understand that some things which are very influential will not be as large. For example, like Steve Bannon or Gordon Chang, right? Gordon Chang. Let's take him as an example. So he's got the light gray, skinny connection to Committee on the Present Danger of China. What that means is he's a member of that. Whoops. And sorry, let me just delete this stupid thing. And the green ones mean that he has cooperated with some other things. And I don't have any record of if they were, paying him. It's quite possible, whatever. So we can basically track those down if we want to. What else do I want to tell you about this before I begin going over this? The size of the text doesn't matter. The colors of the connections do matter. Oh, the position means nothing, right? The fact that that politicals down here and generals over here, it doesn't mean anything. It's just, I just had to put it somewhere. Another thing here is that a few of these items are not actually Falun Gong. For example, obviously the United States government, the Canadian government, and SCMP is not Falun Gong. Now, why are they on here? Well, because they employ this guy, Emmanuel Simia, who is also employed by Washington Times, and Washington Times is owned by the Unification Movement, which is another Falun Gong style cult. It's a Korean cult, also called the Moonies, and they're also sort of in their cultish like constitution against communism. And so I've added them here just to kind of show a little bit more. And what's my point? My point is, so they are not exactly Falun Gong, but everything else on here, all of it, every single thing is. Okay, so like beauty within this makeup channel, that's Falun Gong, right? This is not guesswork. Okay. So without further ado, I'm going to go over this with you, and I'm also going to reveal something that a lot of people are probably not going to be very happy about. But there are a few items in here that Chinese people are accidentally supporting that is still happening in China that they probably don't realize is actually Falun Gong. So let's begin. This guy is the con man that started it all. He's got a lot of stuff going on. Software, government interactions. They target children. They target the entertainment industry, etc. So let's just kind of follow a couple paths. So government interaction. These thin black lines are the same as the fat ones, by the way. I just, as they're too close to the center like this, it just becomes too fat. So, if you look at this, we've got Decode China, which was abandoned. This was a project in Australia. And who was it funded by? Well, that's the green. It was funded by the Institute for War and Peace Reporting. Okay, well, what's the Institute for War and Peace Reporting? We can move that around. We can see. Oh, it's funded by the State Department of the United States. So the United States government funds a NGO essentially that funds a project that's entire intentions are to promote Falun Gong, to attack China, these types of things. And you'll see that a lot, actually. The famous Kilgore-Mattis report, right, made by a guy that I use to disconnect and reconnect. I don't know what to do. Can anybody hear me and see me? Back. Loading. Yeah, working fine. I can hear you. All right. On and off. Well, sorry about that, guys. I'll try to work on it. My apartment has really bad internet here, to be honest with you. My last one was better. So I'm just going to keep going, I guess. So NTD is a huge propaganda network that they have. It's very interesting how they build their power. I'm going to try to explain this to you. What they do is this. They start a company like NTD. And NTD gets donations, right? Falun Gong gets donations, and then they build this company up. Okay, so far pretty normal. Then they use NTD to make a television network. Okay, then they promote their own programs on there. For example, China Uncensored. And then the people that worked on those programs, because it's real TV, then they get credits. So instead of just like a YouTube video like what I'm making, they'll get actual credits, like, oh, he's a producer of a TV show. and then they'll use that to wiggle into other stuff and spread out and get into the real industry. And so you have a lot of these credible people who actually are just coming from this cult and the cult's power. Now, I don't want to go too far and say, this is the most dangerous thing in the world, but it is, I think, a lot more insidious than people realize. So, coming from NTD, there used to be a little program called NTD on China. And NTD on China is where Chris Chappell came from in his little China Uncensored thing, which is pretty big, right? You can see the size of it. And then they have like a Vietnamese translation of it. They're really trying to pump this anti-Chinese narrative into Vietnam. And you've got all these other channels that are different translations and different versions of it. China Unscripted, their little podcast of hate. Then you've got other people more generally associated with just the far right, right? Like Serpentzier, Lawa 86, Milo Yiannopoulos, Gavin McInnes, all these people. I've sort of thrown in some of these people just to show the general associations. There's a lot more of these guys, and I want to be clear that just because everybody on here, including these English teachers, just because they're promoting, just because they're on the right, I don't really care, right? Being in the far right, care a little bit more, but I still don't really care what people are talking about. It's more that they're pushing these really insidious, really destructive conspiracy theories about China. These are the types of people that are really pushing for China created the virus and intentionally, pushed it on the world. And, oh, look at all this stuff that happened in November. And then all this information comes out that's like, yeah, that's not even when it started at all. And they're like, they just changed their tunes. Now, luckily, none of these people are in China because they probably wouldn't want to run into me because they're very, very annoying. Alex Jones, Gay Frogs, all that type of stuff. Obviously, he's very famous. And yeah, so I just want to be clear. I don't necessarily hate these people. I'm not like a hate person. But I do recognize that these people are contributing to hate against China and Chinese people. And they are here's the interesting thing. Almost everybody on this entire map, if you ask them hey, do you hate Chinese people? They're like, no, what are you talking about? No, it's just the CCP or it's just the government or the state. And we're going to talk about that in another video, why that's a lie or at least misleading. So this is the general thing that I've got going on. There's a lot more that I could add, but I just want you guys to see, excuse me. I just want you guys to see, first of all, how much work this takes. It's a lot, but also how interconnected all this stuff is. Oh, sorry, purple or pink here. This means that there were services rendered. So this dynamic internet technology thing here was funded by this human rights in China organization that in turn was funded by this, which in turn is funded by the State Department. And then they ran services for Radio Free Asia, which is the United States government, Voice of America, which is the United States government. So you can see that they build up this whole ecosystem where they build these things, then they support each other, and everything seems very independent. It's all these separate, totally unrelated organizations. I mean, what does Radio Free Asia have anything to do with let's say the Global Internet Freedom Consortium? Well, now you see how they're related, right? One of them started one, funded from money, from the guy behind the other one, and then they give services to that one. So you can start to see this whole thing really building up into this crazy network where you've got parts of the Australian government, parts of the Canadian government, parts of the United States government, parts of the Taiwan local government, and a lot of influence from Falun Gong and a little bit of influence from the Moonies, and this pack of people who are just generally anti-Chinese bigots, and it kind of comes together in this orchestra of hate. And some of them will have a good point here and there. Some of them are less destructive, I would say, towards Chinese people. But all in all, this is how I view these things. When I want to know the motivations of these people, you follow the money, you follow the connections. Why does Chris Chappell make a video about how goofy and stupid the mainland China was during, I think it was the 1960s or so, when they were sending these balloons over to Taiwan to try to convince people to side with the CCP. Oh, how isn't that goofy and dumb and stupid? But why didn't he make a video about Taiwan doing the exact same thing to the mainland? This type of thing. I hope I'm remembering that correctly. That's something from a while ago that I noticed. So why is it that he doesn't want to talk about that? And then you go, oh, I see. Well, first of all, he's been a Falun Gong member most of his life. And second of all, everything that he knows, everything that he does, his whole who he is comes from these essentially made up organizations that are all beholden to this dude. Now, another interesting thing is when people say, oh, like they're not political, which I don't think they're even legally allowed to be political and maintain their tax exempt status in the United States. But it should be noted that they have a China interim government. Now, you've probably heard of another one, which I think was started by Bannon and what's that rich doofus name? This dude. But that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about the Falun Gong. The Falun Gong itself has a China interim government, which I'm pretty sure makes them not eligible for tax exempt status. But, I'm not a tax lawyer. Okay, what else? So, here's the... look at this comment. Why did China ban Falun Gong only? No others. Think harder, guys. Well, they did ban others, right? One of the reasons that I like China is I don't have to worry about Scientologists running around trying to get me. They're not coming here. So here's the sort of thing that's going to upset some people. And I think somebody's going to find out about this and hopefully make a change. Or I don't want to say hopefully. Possibly or probably make a change. So in film and television, these guys pump out tons of movies and documentaries, which are mostly really easy to debunk, but nobody's really focusing on debunking them, so they just go out as truth. All these are movies, all this stuff. It's all Falun Gong. And the interesting thing is, this company here, it used to be called Mark Media. Now it's called Lofty Sky Entertainment. They make these movies. They also make a TV show about Confucius being a foodie. But the other thing that's pretty interesting about these guys is they have software, mostly aimed at children, as they love to do. Aim at children. Like this one. Now, why am I showing you this piece of software? Because this piece of software is available in China on the App Store, which means, and actually a lot of these are, that they make, like this one, which means Chinese people now are paying for these apps, not realizing that they're actually supporting Falun Gong. And when I say supporting Falun Gong, I don't mean that like some people or one person at this place is Falun Gong. I mean, it is literally a Falun Gong organization that directly makes anti-Chinese Falun Gong propaganda. Lofty Sky Entertainment. So I expect that probably won't last too much longer. But that's just an idea. They're willing to criticize China to the level that's very uncharitable, very unfair. And at the same time, they're also willing to take advantage of the economy that the current government has helped the people to build. So personally, I don't think that's very fair. It's kind of like saying, well, the way that China's going is so horrible and everything, but can I have some of that you guys are doing? Can I have some of this that you're doing? Because actually that's pretty good. So let me back up a little bit. Thank you everybody for the chats. Oh, here we go. Here we go. John Pineapple says, anti-China is not, quote, far right. Okay. I guess that's an argument. Here's the thing. Far right is the side of inequality. Okay, it's if you add in authoritarianism, then it's enforced inequality, right? Ideologies like fascism are essential. Essential to them is the concept of enforced inequality, right? So when we're talking about international perspective, then what is inequality? Just saying, people from that country, I don't care about them? Does that sound like inequality? Not really. How about this? The people over there have their own rights to build their own government, to build their own country, and to be whoever they want to be. Does that sound like inequality or equality? Because to me, that sounds like equality. Okay, how about this one? We don't like what they're doing, so we're going to make them be like us. Does that sound like equality or inequality? To me, that sounds like inequality, which is on the right. But what about this? They've built their government, they've built their country, they're accelerating, they're doing things in a way that is very acceptable and common to them. This is what they do. And we want them to change. And we want to force them to be like us. And we're going to try everything that we can to do it. We're going to try religion. We're going to try trade wars. We're going to try potentially real wars. We're going to try espionage. We're going to try propaganda. We're going to build this whole concept in the world, this whole narrative that they're horrible and bad in every way, and try everything we can to force them to be like us because we're better than them. Does that sound like the earlier ones that I was talking about, or does that sound like the ones on the right? Because to me, that's about as far right as you get. Now, these people on this graph essentially are pushing to remove China as it is now and replace it with what they think that Chinese people and China and the Chinese government should be. You understand that, right? Right or wrong, it doesn't matter. Whatever it is, they believe that they are right, that their beliefs are supreme to those of Chinese people. They believe that Chinese people and China and the Chinese government, everybody in China, should do what they want them to do and should be how they want them to be. That literally is as far right as you can get. So if you're in America and you say that you hate China, nobody's going to say that you're far right. I agree. But that's because the whole conversation about China is already so skewed, such that people have this weird idea that Chinese people should be like them. And this is just something I've never really had. That's the real difference between me and these guys, is that when I came to China, I thought, wow, China is crazy different. This is really, wow. And this thing, I don't like this thing, and I like that thing. And here's the difference. I never thought to myself, they should start doing this thing in a different way. They should stop doing this thing, and they should become more how I am and how I like things. That's the big difference. To me, Chinese people can be Chinese. And to these people, Chinese people should be how they want them to be. So, I could go on forever about this, but and I will probably. But the fact is, wanting other countries to be more like you is on the right. Wanting to force them to be like you is on the far right. There's a reason that people like Ann Coulter are called far right, because she is far right. Sorry, I get upset about this. That has nothing to do with left or right. No, it does. It absolutely does. That's why the neocons are on the right, and people like Pelosi aren't called neocons. Because traditionally in the left, you're not espousing to go out and start wars with other countries. Anyway, the whole left-right thing is a little bit weird. I'll give you that. But there is a way to use it in a way that is at least consistent, right? You maybe have a different definition. My definition of it is, the more left you are, the more that you're about equality, and the more right you are, the more you're about inequality. And so, yeah, maybe we see that a little bit differently, but that's what I mean when I say it. Okay. Another thing that's interesting here is they really try to get into the science area. And if you watch these science channels, you'll notice that they tend to try to do some science stuff and always leave something open about, like, oh, but maybe the mystical whatever, or maybe the secret something something. They always play with this idea of maybe there's more. And this is exactly what Scientology does, by the way. Exactly the same. They talk about things in a very scientific sounding way, but slowly pull you towards their cult. Yeah, so this is my graph. I'm always changing this thing and adding stuff to it. I don't know why. It doesn't really it doesn't really help me very much, but it's just an obsession. I just like tracking all these hate people. And another thing that's interesting about this stuff is some of these. I mean, here's Ned, by the way. This one's a monster. NED is such a typical American NGO, in that it uses the word democracy, and it uses that word in a very specific way, and it uses that word as a justification to overthrow other countries, other people, other governments, many things. It funds a lot of insurgencies and anti-government actions in the name of democracy, which is just a very interesting concept that I'm going to cover sometime. The Canada Media Fund, this is where a lot, if you look at those green lines, a lot of movies are funded by the Canadian government. And these movies are pretty bad. Pretty bad. Okay, well, I guess that's my introduction to my little Falun Gong map. By the way, if you see anything on here that you support or that you subscribe to or that you have helped or you're a donor to or whatever, I just want you to know that you are contributing to an organization that would rather start a war with China than allow China to continue to go in the trajectory that it's going now. So if you think that China is getting better each year or each decade, you may be trying to, you may be supporting an organization that doesn't want to wait for them to get to whatever, perfect standard that they're being held to, and would rather risk war or even in some cases try to start a war with them. So in general, I'm against you. Even SCMP? No, not SCMP. So I said this at the beginning. I want to say it again. This SCMP is not part of the Falun Gong. Okay? And I almost probably shouldn't have put him in here, but I just wanted to show some connections. So I hope everybody's clear on that. This company is not considered part of this map, other than just to show one illustration of how these work, how these connections work. What's wrong with Generation Tech? Nothing's wrong with them. They're just Falun Gong. All right. Let's see. What's next? Drink some more coffee. Getting cotton mouth over here. Okay. Let me switch to full screen so you guys can get all the whole effect of my afro. All right. By the way, what do you guys think about this light behind me? Can we get a link to this? Yeah, let me think about. Let me figure out if there's a way to share a non-editable link, because I don't want you guys going crazy here. Can everyone view this? Blah blah blah. Okay, I have made it publicly viewable. Let me just test it real quick, and then I will drop a link for you guys and gals. Someone just donated 50 CA. I see that. Let me scroll up. Bless your health. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. We need more of such intensive research-based content. Keep up the good work. Thank you, Roderick. And you know what? I, just as a consumer of videos, I agree completely. It really drives me nuts, these videos that people make where they've clearly just put no effort in. They kind of were just drinking at a bar some night and they're thinking, oh, why does China do this? Oh, yeah, I think it's because of that. And then they make a video about it. It's like, why don't you guys actually read? Look into this stuff. Okay, so is that? That's. I think this is the one. Sorry, I'm just double checking the link here. No. Why is DuckDuckGo in the name of the thing? All right. I'm going to post the link in here. Hopefully you guys can't edit it. Let me see. Present. Download. Yeah, you cannot edit it. All right, here you go. Why do you think anti-Chinese people always use the wrong acronym for the Communist Party of China? It should be CPC, but they always say CCP. Well, I will tell you why. I think. Maybe it's wrong. There's something called the CCCP, which is the USSR's essentially version of the CCP. And if you say CPC, it sounds like a totally different thing, whereas if you say CCP, to some people, they'll associate the two. Normally, I say CCP because everyone already says CCP, so they can understand what I'm saying, and I don't have to keep explaining what CPC is. But I'm aware that I get a lot of comments from Chinese people going, it's not CCP, it's CPC. And I get a lot of Western people saying, it's not CCP, it's not C, you know what I mean. Okay, so let's see. The next thing I wanted to talk about is going to be shorter. And it's also speaking of the CCP, CPC, which is put your map on a t-shirt. That's a good idea. So one of the things that the far right, and yes, I mean far right, meaning that they espouse ideas that revolve around forcing other entities to do what they want them to do, or trying to encourage that in some way, which internationally is a right-wing ideology. Okay, that's the opposite of non-intervention. In my terms, I'm aware there's many different ways to represent this. This is the way I'm talking because it's my channel. So a lot of times when you drill down on these people and say, you know, maybe you're emotional and you say, why do you hate Chinese people? Why do you hate China? They'll fall back on, no, it's not the Chinese people. You know, they're cool, they're great. They're all just brainwashed, they're victims. They're all, you know, they're just some version of not as good as that person talking. You always notice that, right? It's never that like, oh, they're exactly the same as me. However, something. It's always, oh, they're misinformed, they're brainwashed, they're dumb, they're this, they're that. It's not them that they hate. No. It's just the government. And usually when you say, oh, okay, who's the government? Then they say, you know, the CCP. And you go, well, that's not the government. And I hope a lot of people in the chat have realized what I just said, right? If you say the government, that's not the same word as the CCP or the CPC, because the government means the people who work in the government, whereas the CCP or CPC are just people, whether or not they work in the government. A lot of these people don't work in the government. They're just a regular person who's also a member of the party. And that's because, and I know this is a big shock to a lot of people out there, a party is not the same thing as a government. Just as when you say the government in the United States, you don't mean all the Democrats or all the Republicans. So why is this important? Well, first of all, it already shows that they don't even know what they're talking about in the first place. And the other thing is that it shows that even they don't understand how many people that they're saying that they hate, which is quite interesting. I think when Americans in particular, let's just stick with them because it's easier for me to think about them. I think when they say the government, I think that they're talking about all Chinese Communist Party members. And they think that that number is about 100,000 to 1 million people. I'm just guessing. This is not based on any research, right? This is not a fact. This is just my assumption. I think that that's probably what they're thinking about. But let's take a look at how many people that they actually hate. So, when people say, oh, the Communist Party has done this thing that I don't like, or I hate them because of this or whatever, in their minds, oftentimes they're thinking that's the government. In fact, I would say probably 99% of the time. So, the Communist Party today, according to public statistics, has about 92 million people. Sorry, too much coffee. And that's already huge. But the other thing is that's only just the literal Communist Party. When you see Western reports about, the commies or the communists or the CCP or whatever, they will also say the exact same things about, for example, the Communist Youth League. The same thing to them. If a youth league member does something or they pass some bill or whatever they do, whatever they're up to, if a report comes out about them, people will think, oh, those communists. Those are the people we're talking about. And that's about somewhere around 90 to 95 million more people. And underneath that, you have something called the Young Pioneers. Okay, these are younger people, very young. And that's about 150 million people. Now again, all of these people are the types of people that you're going to see misrepresented as the CCP and confused with the government. So when these people say, oh, I don't hate China, I just hate the government. And you say, well, why are you talking about the CCP? And they go, oh, I also hate the CCP. All of it. And you go, oh, okay, cool. That's about 340 million people you're talking about. That's basically the population of the United States. So, oh, you only hate 340 million people here? You only hate 1 out of every 5 people on the street? You get what I'm saying? And this is why I made a video a long time ago. I think it was the one in which I was showing that Serpentier was a very basic English teacher. And I said something like, I've got friends that are in the government. And everybody was like, oh, gotcha, government pawn. Sorry about that noise. That's my automatic cat feeder. And the thing about this interesting comeback from them is, if you've been to China, you have met many people in the CPC or the CCP. If you've ever been to China and gone anywhere and done anything, if you've gone to a restaurant, you've met some. They're everywhere. And that's because the people and the Communist Party are very closely aligned. Okay? So when you say you only hate one of them, I don't know what you're talking about. Are you talking about that lady over there with her kid? Because that's one of them. And no one even mentions this. When you watch these far right people, it's like a given. They go, it's just the government or just the communists. I'm like, you're talking about hundreds of millions of people. So, here we go. You're just telling BS. Gustav Gans, you're just telling BS. Well, you tell me, Gustav, what's the truth? I'll wait for your comment. Can you guys hear me drink that coffee? Thank you for your masterpiece, although I believe this is only a piece of the iceberg. Yes, I agree. And that's why I really wish I did have a team, because how am I supposed to do all this stuff by myself? CCP are the people, come from the people, among the people. They are the people. Anti-CCP is anti-China, anti-Chinese just the same. Yeah, I pretty much agree with that. I would say I 90% agree with that. At least in the way that people talk about it now. Mostly because, like I just said, they have no idea what they're even talking about. They just say, oh, I hate these people. Oh, just that small group. I'm like, you mean like the entire population of the United States? You hate all those people? You're a horrible person. But to be honest with you, I think most of the far-right people on that map, especially the sort of English teachers and the people who just live in this little echo chamber, I don't even think that they know that. Or if they do, they're just, they're being intentionally vague about their hatred. Most Chinese have a CCP member of family, friends, co-workers, relative that is at least half of China. Yes, this is another point. I was going to make a video before about when they were going to do some, I think it was visa restrictions on Communist Party members. And originally they said, and their family members. And I was going to make a video like, that's just everyone. You might as well just say no Chinese people allowed, because that's almost everyone. What's your take on the digital yuan? Will it give more control to the CCP over central bank? Will it give more control over the central bank? Yeah, but I mean, that's every country eventually will be doing their own digital currency. It's just a matter of time. This is something that I already started to think about back in about 2008 or so when I was getting into Bitcoins. The way of the future, the sort of way of the at least distant future, is that, hopefully everybody in the world is working together in some way. And the number one, maybe not the number one, but one of the top reasons that we're being pulled back from that is people who legitimize hating 340 million people in China. Sorry, but I don't agree, right? I just don't agree. And you can think that that makes me this or that or, whatever, but it doesn't. It just makes you kind of a piece of shit. Da-da-da-da. Send a link, blah, blah, blah. Your cat is meowing. Yes, my cat is meowing. She, that's the little one. She loves distracting me. How much wood would a woodchuck chuck if a woodchuck could chuck wood? As much wood as a woodchuck could chuck if a woodchuck could chuck wood. I agree. He has a cat? No, I don't have a cat. I have two cats. One is a very small, very skinny girl, female, and the other is a very fat, very, very big male. So I didn't really have much else for you guys. I know that last part was very quick, but that's all I really wanted to say about that, which is that, there's so many things to debunk, but this whole concept of like, oh, no, it's not all Chinese people we hate. It's just 340 million of them. And in some cases, and their families and supporters, which is, I mean, that's that's ridiculous. It's like saying, oh, I don't hate all black people. It's just the one that have two legs. Like, okay, I mean, that's basically all of them. I don't know what you're talking about. How's your Chinese now? It's getting better, but it takes a lot of work. I didn't study Chinese for a long time because I was too busy at work, and I had an assistant that would help me, so I can understand a lot of Chinese that I hear much more than people think. So that kind of gives me the power of mind control, because I'm sitting there and everyone goes, oh, he doesn't know what we're talking about, but I actually do, but I can't really say too much. So I've been taking some classes. It helps. Am I on PS5? No, I have a PS4. I bought it so I could play the Final Fantasy VII remake, but it was so easy. I mean, I didn't even use materia practically. I just went right through the whole thing. So I don't even know if I'm going to continue. How many years have you lived in China? First time I came to China was 2012. I left for a little bit, so I've been living here for about 7.5 years. Show your cat. That's very demanding. All caps. All right. Let me grab him. He's right here. Come on, fat boy. Sorry. He's very heavy. He's grabbing the toast. He doesn't want to come with me. All right, fatty. Oh, I can't see the screen. Let me see if I can. All right, boy. Say hello to all these people. He's huge. Look how huge this cat is. Look at him. Boy, don't be antisocial. Huh? Want to meow? He doesn't really meow. All right, boy. Sorry. Back on your toast. Okay. I thought the digital money is to clamp down on fake money bills. I don't really know why they're saying that they're doing it, but the fact is, I mean, paper money is so ancient. Such an inconvenient, disgusting thing that we carry around. What do I think about American exceptionalism? Well, America is a very special place. And there's a lot of things that America, if it wants to follow its own guidelines and proclamations about what it stands for, there's a lot of things that it should be doing that not every other country necessarily should do. America is one of the most important countries in the world because, I mean, forget about the size and the power and the strength of it. They are trying a new kind of government, very new, and it doesn't always work. But it's very interesting, I think, for other countries to learn what they can from the U.S. model. I just wish that the United States in general, I wish that they would understand that a little bit more and kind of take a little bit more of the idea of, hey, it would be nice if some other places were more like us, but we're not perfect and we need to improve things a lot. You know, I'm sure we can all think of things that need to be improved. And so maybe we shouldn't try to force everyone to be like us, at least until, you know, such a time as we've gotten a lot more things ironed out, and then we can revisit the idea. And even then, I don't think forcing is the right way to go. What has the CCP done for the people? Good question. Such an interesting thing that people can even ask that. I always wonder, like, have you ever been to China? Have you ever looked at anything about Chinese history? It's very, very fascinating to me that people wonder this. Let me just put it the very short way is this. Every person that I meet in China that's young has a quality of life, and that quality ranges. But nearly all of them I've ever met have a better life than their parents. And their parents had a better life than their parents, and so on. And I don't just mean 20% more wages. I mean that they almost can't even communicate about reality because they're from different worlds entirely. So when you say, what have they done for the people? I go, well, I don't know. They built an entire unified country and tested a lot of things out, tried a lot of different ways of doing things until they could find a way that really pushed China forward. And it is pushing forward. It's going in the way that I think most people would want it to go. I even think that most people who are unsure or even a little, skeptical about China, I think if they came to China and actually went around, they would find that it's a lot different than they thought. Anyway, I could go on for a long time, but it would take a lot of effort to convince me that the CPC or the CCP is overall not good for Chinese people, because there's just so much evidence around me every single day. I mean, these people are drowning in opportunity. They have so many things they can do now, and it's just getting better. It's not getting worse. This is the thing people don't understand. China has gotten, objectively better every 10 years, for a very long time. Tag. Thank you for your donation. John. Chinese people, thank you. Thank you. Appreciate it. Chinese people, thank you. I think most Chinese people don't really know who I am, but that's okay. I know who they are. Bless your health. Appreciate it. I hope things do get better. Love to watch some video on trading and your strategies behind it. Yeah, I would love to make one. I can tell you the short answer is, what I did to learn trading is I first went to Investopedia and I opened up a $100,000 test account, and I just started trading with their fake money. And then, a month or two later, I checked the account and realized if that were real money, I would have just made this much profit, and that got me really excited. Then I made a few mistakes here and there, but I basically established my own trading pattern, which is that I trade primarily in the industry that I'm most knowledgeable about, which is actually technology. And I invest in companies that I'm comfortable with in a long term. For example, I don't think Apple's going to go anywhere, right? I invest in long-term plays, and I shoot for, I'd say, medium-term gains, meaning I don't care if the stock goes up or down today. I'm worried about in the next 6 months, this year, let's see how it goes. That's the general concept. There's obviously more to it than that. And if I wasn't making these videos, I would honestly spend a lot more time dealing with options and maybe even getting into other derivatives. But primarily, I just do plain stock trades. But I would say that the general advice is if you don't have much money and you're able to invest in the American stock market, you can start with mutual funds, which often don't have any fees. And another thing that you can do is you can look for motivations like, oh, I buy a Starbucks every day or whatever. How much is that I'm spending per month? And just buy less and spend half of that in a mutual fund. Use it as a savings account. Originally, my justification for investing my money into trading was when I was a kid, I used to think that if you save your money in the bank, you'll get a bunch of money back. But it turns out that actually you get nothing. And if you account for whatchamacallit, getting tired. If you account for inflation, you're actually losing money. So then I thought, well, if I put my money into a free mutual fund, and I get more than 1%, APR, whatever it is, APY, then I won. And that's how I first started moving money into trading platforms. And then from there, I just went and started doing stock trades. Another thing that I used to do is look for stocks that would go up and down, right? People don't realize that in the stock market, you make money from stocks going down, from them going up, from them staying the same, from them being very wild, as long as you know which trades to do. So I remember that there was a stock, Sprint was going between $4 and $6, just like a wave, just over time. And so I would, sell as it got closer to 6 and buy as it got closer to 4, and that made me money. And I became a little bit more and more comfortable. Maybe I'll do a video about it, but I've already tried for so long to convince all my friends to get into trading. I don't even bother anymore because a lot of them, they just watch movies and they think that trading stocks is, you run into a room with a bunch of tickets yelling, sell, 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 no, please. And then you can't get to the front and you lost all your money, but that's just not the reality, at least in America. I invest in the U.S. market. I would never invest in any foreign market because I don't understand the companies. I don't understand the market. Well, that's pretty much all I have for you guys. So, yeah, I'm going to take off now. Let me go over the last super chats. If you guys have anything else to say to me, now's the time. Support from Oz. Good eye. Good eye, wizard. All right, there we go. All right, one last thing. This is the girl. What? She's very squirmy and wiggly, as you can see. She doesn't like to be arbitrarily detained, but I force her. Don't I, kitty? So this is a little baby girl. And they're the same age, by the way. So this cat, which is like a third of the other one's size, is the same age, aren't you? In your mind, you're still a little baby, right? Oh, God. You little hand. Get out of here. Support from Oz. Tag, I did that one already, I think. Chinese people, thank you. Thank you. Bless your health. Yeah, I think I've done all of them. You love her more. Oh, that is not cool. Are you into Libre software? Am I into it? I have been into it before. Especially when I was more into stuff like Open Solaris and OSS stuff. FOSS stuff. Really? You lost 80% of your buddies and never spoke a word with a foreigner? Oh, not talking to me. Do you want to make a video to talk about Tiananmen? Yeah, actually, I already almost finished one, and I was going to release it in June. But if you guys remember, back then I took a massive break. I almost stopped doing videos altogether. So I didn't finish. But yeah, I have a really, really great video about that with some information that I don't think anybody really knows. Dr. Evil. Bruno, you jerk. I actually have a lot of hair. It's just that it's dyed green, and the green screen is making it look like it's not there. But believe it or not, I have an afro right now. All right, guys. Well, I guess that's my first stream. I got to get ready for dinner. I'm getting starving and tired. So, any final messages? You do need to address Tiananmen. Yeah, I need to address everything. That's the most interesting thing, by the way, about these intellectually weak people who like to inspire hate, is they go, oh, Nathan Hood never talk about this. Oh, you want to defeat his points? Just show the word Tiananmen. Oh, call it a massacre, call it the square, call it all these things. He'll never talk about that because he's owned and run by secret, shadowy organizations. No, I'll talk about anything. I don't care. It's just I don't go out and just randomly blab my mouth about subjects without researching them. Is that weird? Sorry. Will you talk about Miles Guo? To me, he's very boring. I don't know. Maybe if I do a Bannon video. I saw a couple of his videos, and he's just a very feels type of guy. Not a lot of evidence with much. So I don't know. I mean, Bannon is such a topic, but I try, believe it or not, I actually kind of try not to crucify people specifically. I try not to, because some of these people, they're just very weak and they get, convinced by these things. Causeway Books, that's what somebody's asking me about. I forgot that guy's name. Will I do a video about it? I mean, that's kind of old news. Sorry, I've lost my chat window. What are people saying? Joel, I don't know. Used for propaganda here in Sweden. I will definitely do a video about censorship. I think that that's a sort of a bigger, more important topic than any specifics. I think the way that people view censorship in China is a little bit off. I wouldn't say it's wrong. I think it's a little bit off. I met a guy at a resort one time in Thailand. This is a long time ago now. And he said, what about the censorship? And I said, that's a good idea. I should talk about that. And I just totally forgot. What's your opinion on Uyghur concentration camps? Surely you can't support them. Well, I don't know what you mean by concentration camps. It sounds like you're talking about, you're kind of using words to, very intentionally there. I think what you mean is, what's my opinion on the crackdown on extremism in Xinjiang? And I would say this. I already made a video about it, but generally, that's a very old video, by the way. It's about over a year. I would say, in general, I don't like anybody's rights being, removed. But when we look at the global war on terrorism, and we look at things relative and more comparatively, it definitely reduces the effect. Let me put it that way. If you want to know more than that, you can watch my other video. Hey, Nathan, any good Chinese hardcore bands? Well, I do know a good Chinese black metal band. In fact, I'm wearing the t-shirt right now. Let me see if I can stand up for you guys. Show my huge, bulky muscles. So this is can't really see it. But anyway, this is a band called Ritual Day. Ritual Day. They're from Beijing, I believe. I saw them a couple months ago. Pretty good. Hardcore bands, not sure, but that's in a way hardcore. Chinese people, thank you, John. What percentage of your viewers are from Taiwan? Oh, all of them. They love me down there. Yeah, so, I understand everybody has a lot of questions, a lot of comments, and I can't talk about everything, all at the same time, but if people want to hear about stuff, I'll make more videos about them. And somebody asked if I have heard of Caleb Maupin. I have. Yeah, I watch his videos sometimes. I'm not a particularly communist or socialist type of guy, or even politically, to be honest with you. I don't consider myself a political guy. But I listen to a lot of that stuff, a lot of political discussions. He's a very knowledgeable dude. I don't know. Seems cool to me. I sort of just, I don't really have a lot of time to watch videos or get involved with that stuff, but yes, I know who he is. You were on CCTV. Yep. Would you support China taking Taiwan by force? Would I support China taking Taiwan by force? Well, taking is a kind of a weird word. I would say taking Taiwan back, or retaking control of Taiwan. Would I support it? I would really not like that to happen. But what they're doing is, as far as I know, illegal, and that's a problem. What you're asking me is like, do you support arresting people who are stealing from your store? Like, well, I don't like it, right? But it does make sense why that might happen. Thank you, Whiskey Vector. You must see the whiskey behind me. Maupin is too nosball for me, but his anti-imperial takes are good. Nosball? Okay. Will we ever see a live debate? You versus Serpents. Two opposing views clashing would be awesome. Well, 7-Up, I already know English. So, I mean, what is it going to teach me? My English, even though I fumble around, I actually know English pretty well. So I don't know why I would talk to those people. And I think it's better to just debunk rather than endlessly try to platform smaller people who advertise for hate. I mean, if you ask me, like, okay, would you debate a neo-Nazi? I don't know. What's the point? I would have to really think about it. I'm not necessarily against that type of thing, but I do feel like sometimes it can amplify their views. Anyway, I'm gonna go, guys. It's 7:27. Sorry for the late start for all you people who suffered through me being a very old dude in the beginning, and Oh, there's so many questions. You see what's happening in the chat, right, guys? I mean, unfortunately, I just can't answer all of them. But if you stay tuned, I will do live chats. I don't know what this means. Hang on a second. You make a video about foreigners in China. Why? I would have to think about that. I don't really consider, you know, I'm not focused on foreigners in China. They can do whatever they want. I don't really care. I'm more focused on the way that China's portrayed. You know, not necessarily the attitude of a few thousand people, you know. Love from Japan. Whiskey Vector. Appreciate it. 7-Up Ninja. You maybe have gotten me to like 7-Up a little bit more than Sprite. All right, guys. Let me turn off my mic for a second and ask my girlfriend something. Anyway, what was I saying? Oh, okay. So I think I'm going to do these a little bit later my time, so that our buddies over in the West Coast can join in. I think it's way too late for them now. So all you people in a time zone near mine, I see there's people from all over the world. Are you guys okay if I do this a little bit later or super early? What do you guys think? Anyway, let me know as a comment in the video, because I'm not going to hang out and watch all of the comments in here, the chat. Why are you the only one who talks back to these BSs? Wayne Lee, I really wish I knew. I really, really wish I did know. There's a few other people who are very small, and, you know, I just wish there was more people. All right, guys. Cheers, everybody. It's okay to love China, by the way, even if they really want you to join the side of hate. If you love China, it's okay.